The two surviving triplets stood across the pit, stared at each other, neither looking into the open grave of their third, each failing to blink, each seeing a man who looked identical to himself, each seeing only himself readying for revenge. Both their wives had noted this. The quiet intensity had been escalating within Pavel and Barat like Russian bathhouse steam since the murder, and now mingled with the dew, the fog, the clouds so low they darkened the visages of everybody present. There was a considerable body in the grave, and a considerable body of people attending, Mikhail being mostly liked, but the triplets as a unit stone beloved, seen by most in Sam Hatton's Little Russia as a revelation, seen by their own family as divine. Mother and father were present, Grigory and Karina, married still despite poverty, temptation, miscommunication, coming into money, losing the money they'd come into, change, bigger change, children, new rules in a new country, breaking those rules, and now the death of one of their 4 children, one of their triplet boys, their joy, their 3, Pavel, Barat, and Mikhail. Grigory had long ago imagined and then discussed such possible futures, as both he and Karina took too much drink and smoked too much smoke, and allowed their fears to tread into the least pleasing regions of the mind. There, the death of a child. But more, the death of one of the boys, Grigory argued, was even worse than if something were to happen to Ekaterina, their sole daughter, and the youngest of the 4. For death to come to all the triplets would be one thing, but for it to come to only one of the boys was wholly another. In the past, Karina fanned these morbid topics away from her face just as she avoided exhaled smoke. But sometimes she did speak of the death of one of her sons, and sometimes she agreed with their father. The death of a triplet would indeed be something of a death for them all. And now Mikhail had been murdered, senselessly, without an obvious motive, by a man the police had yet to even partially identify. Mikhail, so intelligent, so composed, and now in the ground. Who did it? For Karina, who did it mattered, but only to a point. How much of her could this senseless mystery occupy? There were the surviving brothers to tend to. Barat, already encumbered by a dozen naturally poor dispositions, the sort of mindset some called down and others dubbed sour, and yet others blue. Barat, who looked no different on the outside from either Pavel or Mikhail, but who seemed to possess a bodily strength transcending that of his size and the size of his arms, legs, and chest. Grigory called these good genes, but Karina knew it had something to do with anger, an emotion no doubt galvanized in her son this day, the funeral of his and Pavel's third. If she could only get a clean look at Barat's face to confirm this. Ah, but there was the expression, on the face of her other remaining son, on Pavel, and perhaps on the face of Mikhail in the grave. Still, who could get a good look at anything out here? What with the fog and the tears and the black worn by all, as if they'd been instructed to bring night with them to Raskov Cemetery, the cemetery situated here in the very center of blooming Sam Hatton, this city with such big dreams here in the state of Michigan, the country of the United States of America, at the turn of the 20th century. "We will get through this," Ekaterina told her mother. She patted her mother's hand and repeated herself. "Everything will be okay." But Karina knew better. Grigory scoffed whenever Karina spoke of his sons as pack animals, as ants, as a communal organism split into 3. But Karina believed it all the same. Pavel, Barat, and Mikhail were equals in a way other trios are not. Each man contained the slice of a single personality. They balanced each other in a way that was traditionally provided for most people through marriage or friendships made in childhood, enduring well into old age. Mikhail's stoicism was necessary to Barat's ostentatiousness, and it was necessary for Pavel to be a blend of both.